The second you start explaining yourself, you have already lost. Think about it. The accusation comes. A quiet dig at a dinner table, someone questioning your abilities in a meeting, a partner twisting your words against you. You feel the heat rise in your chest. Your heart pounds. Your brain tells you that you are being misunderstood, that you need to correct it right now, so you speak. You explain, you give reasons, you offer context. And in that exact moment, you hand them complete control over you. Because the world does not judge you by whether you are telling the truth. It judges you by how desperate you look when you speak. The person who explains is the person who submits. The person who defends is the person who accepts that the other person has the right to judge them. Machiavelli understood something brutal that modern life has tried to erase from your mind. He knew that power is not about being correct. It is about who controls the frame. And the instant you start defending yourself, you step inside their frame. You become the accused in their courtroom. But what if you refused? What if when the attack came, you did the one thing that truly terrifies a manipulator? Most people live as emotional puppets. They are pulled around by what others think of them. Someone frowns, they apologize. Someone accuses, they explain. They spend their entire lives in a state of constant reaction, desperately trying to prove they are good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. It is an exhausting way to live. It slowly destroys you from the inside. But there is another way. A way of moving through the world that is so calm, so grounded, and so psychologically solid that insults do not just bounce off you. They disappear before they even reach you. This is not about being cold. It is not about being arrogant. It is about a complete shift in where you get your sense of reality from. Today, we are going to break down the psychology of not defending yourself. We are going to look at why your own body works against you in these moments, and how to take back control using a strategy Machiavelli would have taught to kings. I am going to show you how to flip the power dynamic in seconds, how to make the person attacking you start questioning themselves, how to use silence not as emptiness, but as a weapon that destroys egos. But be warned, this will require you to kill something inside yourself, something you have been feeding since you were a small child, the part of you that needs to be understood, the part of you that asks for permission to exist. If you can destroy that need, you become someone no one can touch. Let us begin. So why do you do it? Why is your very first reaction when someone challenges you to prove your innocence? It starts in childhood. Go back to when you were 5 years old. A parent or teacher accused you of something. What was the only way out? Explanation. I did not break it. It fell on its own. I did not hit him. He started it. You learned early that authority figures hold the power of judgment over you. You learned that your safety depended on convincing them that you were good. The problem is that you grew up, but that pattern did not. You are walking through the world projecting that same authority figure onto every single person you meet. Your boss, your partner, a stranger online, even your enemies. When you defend yourself against someone, you are saying deep down inside, you are the judge. I am the child. Please accept my explanation so I can feel safe again. That energy is visible, and people can feel it immediately. Machiavelli wrote that it is far safer to be feared than loved. Translate that into modern life. It is far better to be respected than to be understood. When you rush to defend yourself, you are choosing to be understood over being respected. You are saying, please see my intention, please get me. But a king does not explain his decisions to those below him. A lion does not justify itself to its prey. The moment you start talking too much, giving reasons, showing evidence, bringing up past events to prove yourself, you have sent a clear signal. Your inner stability depends on their approval. You have handed them the key to your home. And once they have that key, they can destroy you whenever they feel like it. This is the trap of needing validation. You believe that if you just explain it clearly enough, they will finally say, you are right, I was wrong. How often does that actually happen? Almost never, because the attack was never really about the truth. It was always about power. They did not accuse you because they wanted facts. They accused you to see if you would panic, and you did. The first step to becoming untouchable is understanding this. There is no courtroom, there is no judge, there is no jury. There is only you and how clearly you see reality. When you stop treating other people like judges, their accusations stop sounding like verdicts. They start sounding like opinions. And opinions are just noise. So what happens when you stop reacting? Picture this. Someone throws a verbal attack at you. You are being incredibly selfish right now. The old version of you would say, "No, I am not. I did so much for you yesterday. I'm just tired, defensive, weak, reactive." Now picture the other approach. They say you are being incredibly selfish right now. You look at them. You hold eye contact. Your face stays completely calm. You say nothing. You let the silence sit there for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Do you know what happens in that silence? It becomes a psychological vacuum. The human brain is deeply uncomfortable with silence during conflict. It feels like something is broken. It feels like the other person has stepped outside the rules of the game. When you stay silent, you reflect their energy straight back at them. You force them to sit inside the tension they created, and then they start to crack. They speak again to fill the void. I mean, you are not always selfish, just right now. Why are you looking at me like that? They begin defending themselves against your silence. The power has completely flipped. You became empty space. An empty space cannot be attacked. You cannot hit fog. You cannot cut through water. By refusing to push back, you cause their attack to pass straight through you and knock them off balance. This takes enormous self-control, because inside your ego is screaming, "Fight back. Say something clever, but you must hold it." Machiavelli knew that the most powerful person in any room is the one who cannot be read. When you defend yourself, you reveal everything. You show what wounds you. You show exactly which buttons to press next time. "I am not stupid," you shout. Now they know that your intelligence is your weak point. "I am not a bad person," you say. Now they know that your reputation matters deeply to you. Silence reveals nothing. It is a dark mirror. When they look into it, they only see their own aggression coming back at them, and it makes them deeply uncomfortable. Sometimes silence alone is not enough. Sometimes you must use words, but never defensive words. When you choose to speak, you never push against the force. You pull it toward you. You use the art of conversation like a martial artist uses an opponent's momentum against them. There is a method called agree and amplify. It creates complete mental confusion in the attacker. When someone accuses you of something ridiculous, defending yourself makes the accusation feel serious. It tells them the attack landed. Instead, you lean into it. You stretch it beyond reality until it becomes obviously absurd. They say, "You are so obsessed with money. You are greedy." The defensive version says, "No, I am not. I just want to provide for my family." Boring, predictable, weak. The grounded version says, "You caught me. I actually swim in a vault of gold coins every Tuesday." Terrible for the back, though. You say it with a flat face or a calm half smile. What did you just do? You refused to be insulted. You proved you are not threatened by the topic. You turned their attack into something laughable, and you showed that you are the one deciding how reality is framed here. That strips them of their weapon completely. They came to hurt you. Instead, you picked up their knife and started peeling fruit with it. This is what is called amused mastery. It is the highest form of status. It is the attitude of someone watching a small child have a tantrum. You do not argue with the child. You do not scream back. You watch with calm amusement because you know nothing about this situation threatens you. When you defend yourself, you get down on the floor and start screaming alongside the child. Do not do that. Stay standing. Look down. Let a small smile pass across your face. Robert Greene in the 48 Laws of Power talks about refusing the identity that others try to force onto you. When someone labels you, they are trying to lock you inside a box. If you fight the box, you are still trapped inside it mentally. If you mock the box, you dissolve it entirely. They say you are so arrogant. You say, "I prefer quietly confident but sure." They say you only care about yourself. You say, "I am working on it. I will add you to my list sometime next year." It is sharp, it is dismissive, and it is powerfully attractive. Why? because it shows you are complete. You do not need their view of you to know who you are. A person who knows they are generous laughs when called selfish. A person who knows they are smart smiles when called foolish. If you are defending yourself, somewhere inside you fear they might have a point. And that is the deeper work you need to do on yourself. Now let us look at the hidden structure underneath every conflict. Every argument has an invisible design. In any confrontation, there is usually a judge and someone being judged. The judge asks the questions. Why did you do that? What were you thinking? Who do you think you are? The person being judged answers, I did it because I was thinking that. The moment you start answering, you are losing. Whoever asks the questions holds the power. Whoever gives the answers loses status. The most effective Machiavellian move is simply to step out of the role of the accused and take the role of the observer instead. You do this by responding to a question with a question, or by turning the focus onto their behavior rather than your own. They say, "Why are you always late?" The losing response says, "There was traffic. My alarm did not go off." The grounded response says, "Why does my arrival time affect your mood this much?" Do you see the shift? Suddenly we are not talking about the clock anymore. We are talking about their emotional reaction. You have turned the spotlight around and pointed it directly at them. They say, "You are being ridiculous." You say, "What makes you feel you need to use words like that to get your point across?" You are calmly observing them like a scientist studying something under glass. It is deeply unsettling for someone who came to put you on the defensive. Phrases like, "That is an interesting way to see it," or "You seem very focused on this," work as verbal shields. They acknowledge that the person is speaking without accepting what they are saying. They communicate clearly, "This is your issue, not mine. You can keep it." This is not only a technique, it is a way of thinking. It is the understanding that other people's opinions of you are not your concern. Their anger belongs to them. Their disappointment is theirs to carry. When you rush to defend yourself, you are trying to take responsibility for their emotions. You are trying to fix how they feel. Stop doing that. Let people carry their own weight. Now here is the paradox. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply agree, but not in the way you might expect. This is not agreement from weakness. It is agreement that leads nowhere for the attacker. Imagine someone is loudly listing everything wrong with you. They are pushing for a reaction. You look at them and say quietly, "You are right." And then you say nothing more. "You are right. I can be difficult sometimes. You are right. I did make an error there." This is called fogging. When you throw something solid at thick fog, what happens? Nothing. No impact, no echo, it simply disappears. When you agree with someone who is attacking you, you take away all their momentum. They were pushing against a locked door. When you open it calmly, they stumble forward and fall. They wanted a fight. They needed resistance. Resistance is what gives their anger fuel. Your agreement cuts the fuel line completely. But here is the important detail. You agree with whatever is factually true in what they said. You do not accept the shame they are trying to attach to it. There is a real difference between owning a mistake and accepting an attack on your character. They say you made errors in that report. You are completely incompetent. The defensive version says, "I am not incompetent. The data I was given was wrong." The powerful version says, "You are right. There are errors. I will fix them." Notice what was not said. You never touched the word incompetent. You ignored the insult and addressed the actual fact. You took ownership of the action without accepting the attack on who you are as a person. That signals deep confidence. Only someone truly secure in their abilities can admit a mistake that easily. Insecure people fight to the death to avoid admitting they were wrong. Secure people say, "My mistake," and move forward without drama. Machiavelli would call this disarming the opponent. When you put down your sword, they look completely unreasonable still holding theirs. It takes all the energy out of their attack. It makes them appear out of control while you appear completely steady. And over time, history is written by the steady ones. But none of this works if it is only performance. If you are using these responses but your voice is trembling, your eyes are moving around nervously, or your whole energy is quietly begging for approval, it will fail completely. The psychology here is 80% energy, 20% words. You have to build real inner stability to hold the silence with power. This brings us back to the real root of it. Why does it hurt when someone attacks you? Because they are pressing on a wound that was already there before they arrived. If someone told you right now that your skin was bright green, you would not feel defensive. You would think they had lost their mind. You would laugh. But if someone calls you a failure and you feel the urge to fight back, it is because part of you is afraid they might be right. The deepest form of protection is not a verbal technique. It is self-knowledge. It is the willingness to look honestly at your own flaws, to accept your own darker side, to stop pretending those parts of you do not exist. When you know you are capable of selfishness, and someone calls you selfish, you say, sometimes, yes. When you know you are capable of cruelty and someone calls you cruel, you say, I can be. You cannot shame someone who has already accepted themselves fully. You cannot expose a person who has nothing left to hide. This is what it truly means to be untouchable. It means you have made peace with the parts of yourself that others try to use against you. You become see-through. The attacks pass right through. You are no longer a castle that needs defending. You are the wind. So here is your challenge. For the next 7 days, you are going to try something. The rule is simple: no defending yourself, not once. No matter how small the situation. If you are late, say, I am late. Give no reason. If you make a mistake, say, I made a mistake. Do not blame anything else. If someone misreads your intentions, let them. Sit inside that discomfort. Feel every urge to explain yourself, to manage what they think of you, to be seen as the good one. And let that urge burn out completely. Watch what happens around you. Watch how people respond when you stop playing the old game. You will see confusion first, then something that looks like respect, then something even stranger, a kind of natural pull toward you, because people are drawn to certainty. And nothing signals certainty more clearly than someone who does not feel the need to explain why they exist. You are taking your energy back. You are stopping the leaks. You are stepping out of the role of the child seeking approval and into the role of someone who answers to themselves. The world will try to pull you back. It will push your buttons. It lives on reaction. Do not give it what it wants. Hold your stillness. Hold your power. Hold your silence.